Alright guys, so welcome to the second part. When we left off, we were looking at fuel tanks, right? The first category aside from command pods. And now we're going to have a look at the engines category, and there's a whole bunch of different type of engines. You have your solid fuel booster here. This is a solid fuel booster. And I'll show you right now what it does. Basically, it's an engine. A really powerful first stage engine, much more powerful but much more inefficient than any liquid fuel engine that you would use on your first stage to kind of get yourself up in the air. And these are an alternative to powerful liquid fuel engines. However, I don't like to use them because once you activate them, they run at max thrust no matter what you do. You can't turn them off, right? They just keep going until they run out. And there's no option to turn them, like I said, there's no option to turn them off or anything. But as you can see, they provide you with an insane amount of power. It's pretty ridiculous. So much power, in fact, that this thing's going to flip over. I mean, we're already going 500 meters per second. This is, yeah, these things are really powerful, but you can't turn them off, so I don't like to use them. Because it feels unsafe to rely on an engine that can't be turned off. But oh my god, yes, they're very powerful. So that's what you'd use solid fuel boosters for first stages. People have attempted these crazy shit where they try to do an entire mission using only solid fuel boosters, because there's different sizes, which I'll kind of show now. You got your big ass solid fuel booster. This isn't the biggest one, but this is like a large one, 1.25 meter one, like a mid one. Then you have your largest one here. This is supposed to be like a reusable booster. This is the largest one available with the most fuel. And then you have your Separatrons here. And these little Separatrons are solid fuel boosters as well. However, what they're designed to do is separate stages from one another. So say you have something radially attached on a ship with a radial decoupler, right? When it decouples, the decoupler might not quite have enough force to push it away from the ship. So you'll have to add these little separation boosters onto there to time them to activate when that part decouples, and then the rocket boosters will activate and push that part away from your ship to prevent it from hitting your ship and screwing everything up. I recommend using these whenever you're designing a huge rocket, these little Separatrons. It's really important that you make sure you use them, because otherwise when you separate those huge stages from off the side of your rocket, they'll just crash into your middle stage and completely destroy it. It's happened to me a lot, so make sure you put these on. Then you got the Flea solid fuel booster. This is the smallest one, I think. And then you've got one that's a little bit bigger, like the size of a FLT 400 fuel tank. And these are all the sizes of solid fuel booster. Moving on. And you find these in the engines category, by the way. And they come pre-packed with fuel and everything ready to go, but you can't turn them off. Alright, so the next type engine we're going to go over, because I think it's important to talk about, is the jet engines. And one particularly special one. This is a basic jet engine, very small, for for very light and small aircraft, designed to be used with like a Mark 0 liquid fuel fuselage. And the way that jet engines operate, right, is they only operate in an oxygen atmosphere. It has to be oxygen. It will not work in, for example, a carbon dioxide or neon atmosphere like Eve or anything like that. It has to be oxygen. So you either have to be on Kerbin, and there's another place, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet because maybe you don't know about it and it's really cool. But there's one other place where you can use jet engines. But other than that, you can't use them anywhere other than Kerbin and that one place. So we have the Juno, the smallest one. And then we have a different assortment of them. Here's a Weasley turbofan engine. This is kind of a low power, low altitude turbofan engine for like cruising around. Very fuel efficient. Really awesome to use. These are some of the most fuel efficient engines in the game, but they need oxygen to operate. Here's a radially attachable one. It's a massive one for like huge cargo planes, and you can like attach it to the bottom of wings and stuff. Next we have the Whiplash turbojet engine. This jet consumes a lot more fuel than the other ones, however is still fuel efficient. And it has an afterburner, and it just can get shit going extremely fast. Even like in the thicker parts of the atmosphere, this thing can get jets going up to like a 1 kilometer per second. It's insane. It's super powerful. It's awesome. Perfect for super high altitude, low oxygen cruising, and so you can take it up really high. Perfect for single stage to orbit planes, but that's single stage to orbit planes are a whole nother field, and I'll talk about it later. Next one up is the afterburning turbofan. This is sort of like a middle of the road engine. Pretty powerful, only used for low altitudes however, but pretty powerful. Can get a vehicle going pretty fast, but also pretty fuel efficient too. So it's like middle of the road. And that's your jet engines. Next I'm going to talk about the Ion engine, or the Dawn electric propulsion system. This small little engine produces very little thrust, but is the most fuel efficient engine in the game. It consumes xenon gas for its fuel, and a small container of xenon strapped to this thing can run forever. The downside is it requires a ton of electricity, and I mean a ton of electricity, and its thrust is, like I said, really low, and it takes forever to do stuff, but it is also a very efficient engine system, the most efficient in the game. So that's what xenon gas is for. You strap a xenon gas tank to one of these things and you can run it with some electricity. Next, I'm gonna go over the liquid fuel engines. There are a lot of liquid fuel engines, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna go over the Rapier engine. The Rapier engine is basically a jet engine and a rocket engine in one. You can set it to a mode where it consumes no oxidizer and just liquid fuel and operates like a jet engine. Then you can switch it to a closed cycle mode where it consumes liquid fuel and oxidizer and operates like a rocket. This is the go-to SSTO engine. Right here, this is what this engine was added into the game for, to make SSTOs. So that's the Rapier engine. Really important engine, really awesome engine, really amazing. Still not as powerful as the turbojet engine. It's a little bit slower, but it's still really awesome just because it can switch between jet and rocket. And then you got your really small sized engine. These things are super tiny. This is a radially attachable tiny little engine, right? There's a couple of radial liquid fuel engines, one that's more powerful and that small one for smaller vessels. So what having all these liquid fuel engines allows you to do is really customize your ship a lot. So you can, if you got a really small vehicle, you got a million different small engines you can put on it to make it work properly. You know, there's this ant one, which is probably one of the smallest engines in the game, and there's this other radially attachable liquid fuel engine, the Spider. It's a little bit less powerful than this, but consumes less fuel. See, I'll put them side by side. See, that one's a lot bigger, but it consumes more fuel. It's for if you want more power, or so you can choose. You can choose between these different kinds of engines, whether you, for like your small vessels, whether you want more power or more fuel efficiency, and it gives you that option. And that's a big part of the reason why I like this game, actually, is because of all the different customization options you have. Oh shit. Alright, so the game just crashed. I'm gonna end the video off here. We'll keep talking about this though, but I can't help what just happened. So we'll keep talking about this, but the game just crashed, so I'm gonna end it off here, and I'll see you when I get it working again.